So far, we have explored two different approaches to create the beans using the Spring framework. These approaches are with the help of @bean and @component annotations. Instead of @component, you can use any other stereotype annotation as well. Now, inside this lecture, let's try to understand what are the differences between these two approaches. Once you have clarity around these differences, you should be able to take a informed decision inside your real projects to use which approach based upon your requirements. The very first difference between these two approaches is using @bean approach, we should be able to create any number of beans or any number of instances of a given data type or of a given class. Whereas with the help of component approach, only one instance or only one bean of the class can be added to the Spring context. Let me share more details about what I mean with this difference. If you go to this example 2 and open the project config class, here for the same data type of vehicle, we are trying to create multiple beans. Instead of 3, I can create 100 beans as well by writing 100 different methods. But in the scenario of stereotype annotations, I can only create a single bean because I can mention this annotation on top of the class directly. If I want to create another bean, then definitely I have to create another class with another name. That's why it is not possible to create multiple instances or multiple beans of a class with this approach. And the second difference is when we are using @bean annotation, we should be able to create an bean of any data type or of any Java class, including the classes defined inside the Java library like string or integer. Whereas with the component approach, I can only create the beans for the classes that are defined by the developer or by the dev team, but not for the classes defined inside the Java library. Do you know the reason why? Because I cannot modify the source code provided by the Java library or any library. If I want to create a bean of string class with the help of component annotation, I should be able to mention component annotation on top of the string class. But since that string class is present inside a library, I can't go and modify it. The libraries, they are not going to accept. Whereas with the help of bean approach, I should be able to create the beans of any class. If I open this project config present inside the example one here, you should be able to see I'm trying to create a string object. That string object I'm trying to convert into a bean with the help of this annotation. So this string object class is present inside Java library. I can't go and modify here by mentioning @component annotation. Coming to the third difference, when we are using @bean approach, developers, we end up writing more code. First, we need to create Java method. On top of the Java method, we need to mention bean annotation. And inside the Java method, we need to make sure we are creating the object of the data type using new operator. This is a very lengthy approach. But with the stereotype annotations approach, the developer has to simply mention this annotation on top of the Java class, and behind the scenes, Spring is going to take care of creating the object and converting it as an bean. That's why stereotype annotations approach is the most commonly used by the developers in real projects as well. The fourth difference is when someone is using @bean annotation to create a bean, they're going to have a full control on how the object needs to be created and what data they want to populate, because they are actually end up writing all this logic inside a Java method. Whereas with the component approach, developers will not have any control in creating and configuring the bean. Usually there will be very rare scenarios where we want to create the object by ourselves and populate data inside that. But if you have such rare scenarios, you can happily use the bean approach. And the last difference is very similar to fourth difference. Spring Framework is going to create the bean based upon the instructions and the data values provided by the developer in the case of bean approach. Whereas in the case of component approach, Spring Framework is going to take the entire charge of creating the bean and post the developer will have access to it. In case if you have some requirements to set up some data inside the bean, you can use annotations like post to construct annotation to set up the data into the bean that is created by the component annotation. I hope you're clear with all these differences. Personally, I'm a big fan of stereotype annotations. I recommend also you using them. In fact, every developer in the industry, they use stereotype annotations only. But sometimes you may have some rare scenarios or peculiar requirements which can be addressed by using bean approach, because it is going to give complete control on how an object needs to be created, on what type of data you want to set inside it.